Fellas, welcome back to the Paul Watson Project. I'm your host, Walker Bruns. Before we get too far in this show, there is some news. There's an announcement that I need to make. I'm going to be stepping away from hosting the Paul Watson Project. It's been a great 9 weeks, but I've got to be able to spend some more time with my family, some more time with God. And most importantly, I had a conversation with my team, and they said that these media appearances have really been a distraction from our main focus, and that is winning. So I'm sorry for this decision, but I do want to apologize to absolutely nobody for this decision. It's been a fun run, and I'm excited to see where this show goes from here on out. But we do still have a great show ahead. Before we go any farther, let's throw it over to Jake for Week 8's Quick Hits.
Quick Hits of the Week.
Thank you, Walker Bruns, and welcome to Week 8's Quick Hits. All right, quick hit number 1 of the week, the biggest blowout of the week. Surprisingly, coming from Cobra Kyler, karate chopping newly named Liability Playground by a whopping 48.3 points. All right, fellas, the move of the week. And as much as it pains me to say this world is not Mahomes getting the move of the week, somehow acquiring A.J. Brown. And without him, I feel like he would have played DK Metcalf, and with that would have lost to Oh Fill My Cup by 0.22 points. Well done, Travis Stouffer. All right, our Come On Man of the Week, come on man, goes to Joe Burrow. That's right, getting a real taste from the new Ryan and his chubby. Joe Burrow led Say My Name to his first loss out of the last 3 weeks. Joe, come on man. All right, Week 7 players of the week, and they're all first-timers. The QB of the week, Tua Tagovailoa with 29.18 points. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown with 36.6 points. Running back, Alvin Kamara with 38.3. And tight end, surprisingly, Tyler Conklin with 22.9 points. Fellas, again, great Week 8. Looking forward to Week 9, and these were your quick hits.
Thank you, Jake. Appreciate those quick hits from Week 8. Always doing a fantastic job there. Week 8 was quite a wild one. You know, we had a lot of big scoring and then a lot of low scoring as well. So it was just crazy to see what happened in Week 8. And we are more than halfway through the season. And so that playoff preview that we did, you know, it's starting to shape up and it's starting to take place. You know, where do you stand in the Paul Watson Project? It's going to be a fun finish. Before we get into Week 9's preview, I do want to let you know our special guest this week is Zach Tinsley. But before we get into the games with him, let's send it over to Travis Stouffer for this week's Power Rankings of the Matchups. Over to you.
Thank you for the introduction, Walker. Welcome back, guys. Week 9 Power Rankings matchups. I'm excited. I don't think there's any bad matchups this week. And a matter of fact, I think there's a lot of upsets on the table. Let's get into it. Starting out with number 6, Prison Mike versus Not My Chubby. Number 12 versus number 4, Zach Lane versus Ryan. Both of these guys came into Monday night looking for a miracle. Only Ryan received one. But then Ryan woke up this week to the bipocalypse. Without Chubby, can Not My Chubby continue winning? Number 5, Oh Fill My Cup versus Liability Playground. Number 3 in the league versus number 9 in the league, Rob versus Walker. These teams are both on a 2-game losing streak. That's gonna end for somebody. It's starting to feel like the hour is nigh for Walker to make a move. Can he? Number 4, Cobra Kyler versus Roger Goodell. Number 5 in the league versus number 10 in the league, Alex versus Nick. Now, both of these general managers have put their teams in positions that surprise a lot of people based on the preseason. A lot of people thought Alex might be lower in the rankings, and a lot of people thought the commissioner would be higher up and fighting for buys. Neither one of those things has happened. Alex has ascended. The commissioner is struggling. Can he right the ship? Number 3, Say My Name versus Woody's Roundup. Number 6 versus number 8, David versus Austin. Whoever wins this matchup is going to be in the top 6 and squarely in playoff contention. The only question is, who will it be? Number 2. You like a good championship preview? How about Waddle Baby Waddle versus This World Is Not Mahomes? Number 1 versus number 2, Bellwood versus Travis. These are the 2 highest scoring teams in the league. They're ranked 1 and 2 in the league. Whoever wins this matchup is going to be number 1 in the league. And whoever wins this matchup could be starting to cement a position into a bye week in the playoffs. This is an exciting one. I can't wait. I'm pumped up to be part of it. I'm ready to compete. And number 1. They say championships aren't everything, and I guess that's true, because now we have a Sacco preview. Cool Runnings versus Embrace the Suck. Number 7 versus number 11. Zach versus Bozier. Now, these guys have been getting a lot of hate from their peers. Personally, I think they've made some really great decisions this year. They just had some unfortunate instances with some injuries and things like that. These guys are going to be fine. But at the end of the day, one of these guys is going to be the butt of every joke this week, and one of them is going to be able to rise above. It should be fun.
Thank you, Travis. Well, this is going to be another fun week. The stage has been set, and my guest is ready for us to join him. Please welcome Zach Tinsley to the show, and let's go over the games.
All right. Well, Zach, welcome to the Paul Watson Project. Almost the second week in a row I've said the Magic in the Attic podcast. I don't know what's going on. When I get these people on, I just feel like it's the Magic in the Attic podcast.
It's because you miss it, and we got to get it started back up again. I'm maybe in the works.
That's the truth.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
For sure. But let's go ahead and start off with a question here. You coming off a win?
Yeah.
How do you feel about your team? You're like at 500, right there with Alex Day. How does it feel?
I mean, I feel the same way that everyone kind of feels about it, right? Like, my team's projections are really low every week. I would have been over 100 points again if I would have just trusted Jimmy, which for whatever reason I didn't. I mean, look, I know what I am. I'm a kind of got to luck it in for the win. But I do feel like I have a bunch of guys that actually have like kind of middling floors. They just don't have any ceiling. Like, they're not going to boom. So I feel like I can rely on my team sort of, but I don't know. I definitely feel like I can swing some wins to not win the Sacco like everyone thinks that I will. But if I do, I guess it is what it is. But it's fun to win.
Hey,
it's fun to have 2 in a row, I guess. So
yeah, for sure. And it's funny because your team went from a big time boom to bust team to I feel like a team that just consistently goes. I don't know how it's just transformed into this, but
yeah, I'm not going to score 130 points, but if I score 90 to 105 and the other team just happens to not, then I'm all right. Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, let's jump into our first number 6 matchup here. We got Prison Mike versus Not My Chubby. So, do you have any thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I kind of don't know if I agree with it being the worst game of the week. I think maybe it is because of Ryan's bye situation. This is kind of Ryan's like circle the game because I'm probably not going to win because his 2 best skill players in George Kittle and Nick Chubb are out. So Nick Chubb just dragging that dude for wins. Yesterday was so much fun watching Nick Chubb get 10 points in 2 runs. So it was that was pretty awesome. But listen, I mean, Ryan, I think, has definitely been the surprise of the year. He's generally like a chalk it up as probably going to be out of the playoffs, but still somehow find a way to be 9th place or something. So he's firmly in. I think he could even lose this week, and he still has a good enough team with an easy enough schedule. But I said I didn't agree with it being last, but now that I think about it, I do, because I think Ryan's chance of winning is on the bench this week. But then this is it for Lane. And he's got the team to do it. If he can win 6 in a row and then have the most points, which again with Josh Allen and T. Higgins as the number 1 right now, and Pearson Cook, and now Hawkinson in a better situation, he has the team to do it. He just cannot slip. So if Chubb and Kittle were playing, I actually think this would be the number one matchup for me because there's a ton of stakes. But I think Zach is, Zach's looking good. Yeah.
I agree with that completely. Like Zach's team, you're still giving it a chance.
Mhm.
I think it's just too hard to overcome at this point. It was a heartbreaking loss. He scored so many points.
Mhm.
He was right there, right after we said, like, he just has to keep winning. And if he can beat Jake, you kind of feel like he can make the turn, but he just has to win too many games at this point. But he's still going to be a huge disruptor in the standings. He still has a good team. Then looking at Not My Chubby, I mean, this is a team that says when I talk about it, I should put respect on that name. Now, on the playoff show, I said he would win one more game this year, and that's what he's done. So, I mean, if that's respect, that's the respect he's going to get from me. You want me to show you some respect, Ryan? How about you beat the last place team in the league? Then I'll show you some respect. But I don't think that's going to happen, although I'm not giving away my prediction. Let's move to the number 5 matchup here. We got Fill My Cup versus Liability Playground.
I keep looking at all these matchups and I feel like there's a ton of stakes because normally there really, really is. It's very clear the middle sometimes here. The top in our league right now is pretty set, I feel like. But, man, everybody's still in it because, again, I'll go back just a second. Like, yes, I do not think Zach Lane will make the playoffs because it's just so difficult in fantasy. But his team's good enough. If there's ever a team to win that many games, I really do think it's him. So I'm giving him, let's say 5%. Okay, I'm not even like 20%. We're talking 5%, maybe 2% chance to make this run. But if he does make the run, he will score enough points. Okay. Anyways, I'll stop now. You have a good team, Walker. I really do believe that you do. I think if you get into the playoffs, you can cause some. But the problem is that you have some empty slots on your team and some big holes and a lot of dudes on bye. Obviously, Njoku being out as a very good tight end is not good. I think he might still be out this week. And then, once Deshaun will be back for you, then maybe. But I don't know. The problem is if you lose this week, then you're in a kind of a hole. Like, and unfortunately, even though you do have these great players, you really didn't score a lot at the beginning of the year. So there's a lot of dudes even behind you that are way ahead of you in points. So this is a huge game for you to steal one if you can. The nice thing is Derrick Henry does play Kansas City, and it might be Malik Willis again, which means Kansas City's just going to bottle up. And Henry's still great, but there are games where they try to, teams can take him away if he's literally the only offense. And Andy Reid's a good enough coach to do that. So, and then Cooper Kupp, he's probably going to play, but is he going to be a pitch count? If he's on a pitch count and Derrick Henry getting bottled up on Thursday night, and then his flex, right? So he's still playing Brian Robinson, who's not shown to be much in the passing game. They're not doing a ton with him, and he doesn't have a ton. The one thing to watch, I think, for Rob's team is Mark Andrews out? And if so, and likely plays, you're probably in for trouble still. So still not that big of a game, I think, for Rob, because it is what it is. But for you, this is massive. I think you kind of have to get the win this week and figure it out, even with your depleted team.
I feel like my team, I just can't catch a break where, like, people can't get on. Everyone has a good week on the same week, and then everyone has a bad week on the same week. So it's like I have no consistency at all. Hoping to regain my footing, but, I'm coming off 2 losses, and there's another team I'm playing against that's also coming off 2 losses in a row, and that's Rob's
good
team.
Point.
So who can, like, establish that they're not just going to keep losing every week for a while, His team is more streaky than mine. He had 6 wins in a row. That's a bigger streak than I've been on. So I think he can have a bigger losing streak that I've been on too. Looking at his team, I really think Monday night Lamar Jackson is just going to do whatever it takes to put him over the top. I think I might be winning going into that game, but Lamar is he'll probably have a terrible game if I'm barely winning and just score enough. But if I'm winning by a lot, he's going to score a lot and beat me. Either way, I don't like it. All right.
You probably only feel comfortable if you're up by 40.
Even then, I'll be nervous. Oh, yeah. Let's go to Cobra Kyler versus Roger Goodell.
This is the same situation, I think, as the last one. This is a must-win game for Nick. I think maybe even more of a must-win for him than for you, honestly, with who you play later on the season. Alex is third in scoring. He was counted out in your mid-season preview as one of the guys that isn't going to make the playoffs. I can't remember exactly who all said. I think did you all say he wouldn't make it, or just you?
He won't make it.
Hey, well, I mean, seriously, his team is, now that ETN is for real the guy, I mean, my goodness. And then, like, if Foreman stays the top runner, but here's the deal. Not even Foreman. I feel like Lazard might be the start of the week this week, with Green Bay desperately needing a win and Detroit being so bad, and he just funnels the ball to him. So this is a team that can score 130 every single week, and they've proven to be pretty good. Again, third most points. And this is just a bad run-in again for Nick. He's got Sutton and Barkley both on bye. He does get Algier in the last week before Patterson is back, and a bad run defense. His only upside to me is the fact that he has a ton of plus matchups, right? So Josh Jacobs plays a trash defense. Tua Tagovailoa plays the Bears. They're probably going to hang a bunch of points, right? Algier, terrible defense. Juju Smith-Schuster is playing against one of the worst pass defenses. So he's got a lot of plus matchups for his players. Again, different than Rob. What's going to happen with Mark Andrews? Are they going to hold him 1 week so he can go into the bye, rest up, and then come out week 11? Or are they just going to roll with him? Is it going to be the same thing as last week where he comes out? Maybe he's on a pitch count. They're using Likely a lot. So I think that's the player to watch for Nick. If he doesn't play, I don't see Nick winning this game.
When I look at Alex's team, this is a team that reminds me of a team in the NFL, and that's the Atlanta Falcons, because they're a trash team. They're at 400, but they might make the playoffs. So that's definitely what I think of that team. And then Roger Goodell, this is really important for his playoff hopes. You kind of hammered that home because Alex is above him. If he beats Alex, it gives him the momentum. It kind of mixes up the standings again. But if he loses this, it's going to be a tough road ahead for him. But, and it's just a tough week for him because he has to look for some replacements and just hope he finds some good guys that he can plug into that roster and get him some points. So I think it's going to be a tough week for Nick this week. Let's go to Woody's Roundup versus Say My Name. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, David did lose last week. In the game, I think everyone was rooting for both people. If that was one of those where, like, whoever wins, who cares? Feel good story, right? Ryan definitely, that was a must needed win for Ryan. But kind of probably a bad loss for David because David's now set up to where he could start losing. One of the things about Austin's team is, can Michael Carter take over the Breece Hall role? He is projected to have 110 right now. But when I look at his team, I don't see that at all. Like, A.J. Dillon has been awful all season long. Who knows with the James Robinson situation with Michael Carter. St. Brown is awesome. He's super boom. But then, Detroit, they get in a rut. And then I don't know. It's weird. His team scores a lot. It's projected a lot. But when I look at it, I'm like, I feel the way about his team that you feel about Alex's team. I just don't think it's very good. But the thing for David is Joe Burrow. Can Joe Burrow get back on track? I think so because he's playing Carolina. And Jacoby Myers has sneakily been one of the most consistent and best wide receivers in the NFL, getting you anywhere from 14 to 20 points a week. And I definitely think he's going to continue that because he's playing against Indianapolis, who's sort of tanking. So I think and the last thing for him is what's going on with Devin Singletary. He's had a pretty decent fantasy season, and now the Bills got Nyheim Hines. So does that mean they want to put more trust into Hines, or are they going to go a two-headed back? I don't know, but I do think this game will be closer than its projections for sure.
Yeah, I'm feeling that for sure. When I'm looking at Austin's team, Woody's Roundup, it's a team that you really start to get excited about, and then it just seems to let you down every time. So, like
Yep.
this week, I just have a feeling Kelsey's going to score 8 or less points, have his worst game of the season. I just got this gut feeling. And then looking at David's team, it's a team that's kind of on the bye week bonanza this week, but he's a team that just knows how to pull that rabbit out of the hat. So we'll see if this is another one of those weeks for him. All right, let's move to the top 2 matchups. This one might be a surprise to you, but our number 2 matchup is Waddle, baby Waddle versus This World Is Not Mahomes. What are your thoughts here?
Well, I mean, it's argument that this is the number 1 game because it's number 1 versus number 2. Whoever wins is number 1. So either Jake stays number 1 or Travis goes to number 1. And then it might have some bye week stakes, right? So if Rob gets to winning again, these guys have 3 losses. One of these guys have 3 losses, and Rob wins out and only has 2. Maybe they don't get a bye. So this is a huge game, and it's the battle of the Titans, man. I mean, every single player on both of these teams is projected like 15 points. So I think it will be very close. I think it will be very high scoring. I really don't even know who to pick. But to me, the number 1 thing is for Travis is Swift, right? Are they going to keep letting Jamal Williams hawk touchdowns? Because if so, maybe that's it looks like Aaron Jones, they're finally using him like the weapon that he is. Wow. Thanks, Green Bay. And for Jake, it's James Conner. Is he going to play? Because he really needs him this week with Harris and Melvin Gordon on bye. So if Connor can go, great. He plays against a terrible Seattle team, but I mean he just kind of hasn't been good even when he is healthy. So now with Eno, are they going to split carries? That to me, those are the two. Whoever wins that matchup, Swift and Connor will win this game.
Yeah, as someone who's had experience having Aaron Jones for I think I had him 3 years. He's a frustrating guy because you see how good he is. And then right when you're like, oh, Green Bay starts to use him. Oh, he's going to be good now. Green Bay will just decide that A.J. Dillon is the man and just put him in for every snap. And you're like, what are you doing, man?
Mm-hmm.
So he's one of the most frustrating guys for me out there. But, that stud duo, running back duo that you traded to him, I think is going to kind of lay an egg this week. I got a feeling because they did so well last week, they're going to score less than 18 combined. But DeAndre Swift is going to score more than 18 this week. So he's going to outscore the both of them combined. That's my feeling here. That's my prediction. That's my bold prediction since Taco isn't here to give us his bold prediction. Then we got on the other side, Waddle, baby Waddle. This matchup between these two teams is a potential championship matchup. So who can get that victory in now to say, I'm going to win this thing? That's what I'm looking for. I'm thinking Adams has a big bounce back day. But the rest of the team that scored so much kind of comes back down to earth. I have a question for you randomly about this matchup. Do you think one of these two teams will be the highest scoring team this week?
I actually don't think it will be. I think it'll be Alex's team again because Alex is to me it's about the matchups. Kyler Murray's playing Seattle and they suck. ETN's playing Vegas and they're awful. Hopkins with Seattle again. He doubles up with that. So I am actually going. I think it will be Alex again. But yeah. I do think I think they'll be 2 and 3.
Gotcha. All right. Well, appreciate that. Let's move on to our number 1 matchup. And full disclosure before we get here, this was the number 6 matchup, and Travis texted it to me, and I said, "How is the potential Sacco matchup number 6?" And he said, "You know what? Let's have some fun this week. Let's put it number 1." So, number 1 matchup. I've been joking about this being the Sacco matchup. So that's how I'm previewing this one. What are your thoughts here?
Well, listen, if I win, I'm in the top 6. So, or if I win and David loses. So if I win and David loses, which is, I think David is going to lose with it being, some of the situations. I will be in the top 6. Now, will I hold it with my schedule? Probably not. Do I have one of the worst teams? Yes, I do. I mean, hey, listen, you said that Aaron Jones and Joe Mixon went off last week. I'm pretty sure I saw Joe Mixon get 28 yards again and score under 10. So I think you're thinking
did
of the
he?
week. I think you're thinking of the week before. No, I'm just
I didn't pay that much attention, to be honest with you.
But listen, I actually do agree with this being a higher rank. Number one, I don't think we're the number one game, but I do think it's a big game for me because my next 2 games are winnable. And if I can find a way to win the 4 games that I think I can win, all I have to do is win one of those other, or steal one of those other 3. And I can get into the playoffs. But it starts this week for me. That's how I feel. Obviously, for me, it's all about like the guys like Zach Ertz and Adam Thielen. Ertz has been a very good tight end, which is part of a good part of my team. So if Ertz can keep rolling, I think I can get some good points out of him. Gabe Davis had like a weird week last week where he had like 2 catches that got negated by penalty. He had a potential touchdown catch. So it just depends there. And then Chris Godwin, who has gotten all the targets and a ton of yards, but he hasn't scored. So if Godwin can get in the end zone, there's that. But with Bozier's team, Elliott's not playing again. I don't know who he's playing at running back. I mean, this might be the Sacco, and you might hate my team, but this is maybe the worst lineup I have ever seen in the history of this league. And I do not think you can disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm not sure I am going to disagree with that statement. This matchup here, I feel like the 2 teams are where they're at due to some trades. So whoever loses this game is kind of staring in the face the Sacco to me. So how is the loser of this game going to try to improve their team with such little time left? Like, it's really a big matchup in that, you know, if you lose this game, I feel like you might think you're the worst team or you're down there with me, you know? And so how are you going to improve your team after this loss? So really neither one of these guys can feel good after this loss if you were to lose this game. So
and I'll be honest, I'm not really sure that we can. And I mean, I wish I had time to explain my thought process on my one trade or whatever, that really my record would be exactly the same either way. But with David, again, whatever, it is what it is. But not David, Bozier, I know I kind of defended it in the text, but I should not have done that. Like I said, I formally apologize. He would have won last week with an empty running back if he would have just kept A.J. Brown. So that was really bad. So, yeah.
Well, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and bring on Travis and look at our picks for week 9. All right, Travis, welcome to the show. Ready to get into some of the picks here.
Good to be here.
Yeah, I'm glad you are here. We got our number 6 matchup. It's Prison Mike versus Not My Chubby. Yahoo's got Prison Mike. Zach, who do you have?
Well, I've got, like I said, Prison Mike. Not My Chubby is not playing. So no way that Nick Chubb is going to rumble for 30. And I don't think that there's any way that he can find any help. So I am going with Prison Mike this week in a big win. I think it might be the blowout of the week.
I love it. Not My Chubby. There's a bipocalypse over there. It's not good. It's a bad situation. He needs some really special things to happen. I like Prison Mike. This looks like the kind of team that should be like 6-2, like Jake.
Well, Ryan wants some respect. So how is this for some respect? You're going to lose by about 30 points this week. I got Prison. All right, let's move to number 5. We got Oh Fill My Cup versus Liability Playground. Yahoo's got Oh Fill My Cup. Zach, who you got?
I am also going with Yahoo. I think that Cup plays. The only chance I think you have is if Cup is on a pitch count and Henry gets bottled up, but I kind of don't think really either of those things are actually going to happen. So I think it'll be closer than it looks, but I will still go Rob.
I believe in Isaiah McKenzie. I like liability playground for the upset. Rob, 3 losses in a row.
Wow, that's a bold pick. McKenzie probably gets a concussion the first play of the game and is out. I've got fill my cup for the victory here, putting me at 3 losses in a row. All right, moving to number 4, we've got Roger Goodell versus Cobra Kyler. Yahoo says that it is Cobra Kyler with the victory. Zach, who you got?
I feel like I am definitely going to sound like a broken record, but with all the buys, this is the big buy time in the NFL, right? I think the buys are coming at an awful time for Nick right now, and so I'm going Cobra Kyler, who has no one on buy.
There's so many buys. It's like Pride Month over here. Yeah, man. Cobra Kyler.
How can you not pick that team? I mean, it's the best in the league, isn't it?
Third best.
No. All right. But I do think he might get a win this week. All right. Let's move over to Woody's Roundup versus Say My Name. Yahoo's got it as a Woody's Roundup victory. Zach, who you got?
You know what? I'm going to Say My Name. If he can get his tight end situation, his 2 wide receivers are going to go off. Joe Burrow is mad and playing Carolina. He's going to be throwing dimes all over the field, back to 30 points. And Woody's Roundup's team is projected to have like 115 points. He'll have like 80. So,
No, I like Woody's Roundup. I like St. Brown. There's no more Hawkinson. I think that plays well. I like this team. McLaurin is playing a lot better with Hinkie or Heineke, whatever his name is. Kirk Cousins plays at 1 o'clock. I like Woody's Roundup.
I've got to say that David is going to pull another rabbit out of the hat. I think David wins it. Unfortunately, every time I get excited about Austin's team, it lets me down. I think that happens again. He's starting to get on a roll. So maybe he's an opposite kind of guy, though. When I think he's going to go down, he goes up. So, but I've got
Austin wins
David's
that game.
team, Say My Name.
He's in. He's in the top 6. Quick turnaround.
I guess so. Then number 2, surprising number 2 matchup, Waddle, Baby Waddle versus This World Is Not Mahomes. Yahoo's got This World Is Not Mahomes. Zach, who you got?
I am going to go Mahomes on this one. I think it's going to be really close. But I mean, not that Najee Harris has been good at all, but I just don't, again, I think it's going to come down between Swift and Connor, because I disagree with you. Mixon is playing Carolina, Aaron Jones playing Detroit. I think they're both going to have huge games. So I'm going to go Mahomes in a close game, but that's because Swift will outplay Connor. That's my prediction.
Unfortunately, I think I slip here. I think I've got some interesting matchups that I don't want any part of. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a tough time in Tennessee, and I don't like it. Waddle baby, waddle baby, waddle baby.
I've got my prediction for this one. Unfortunately, both of these teams, I think, hopefully this isn't offensive, but I think they blew their load a little early last week, and this was the time for them to really shine. So I think it's a come-down week for both of them. I've got Waddle, baby, Waddle in a close game. All right, let's move to our number 1 matchup. You like championship previews? Well, how about a Sacco preview? We got Cool Runnings versus Embrace the Suck. Yahoo says that Cool Runnings is going to win it. Zach, who you got?
I am going to also once again follow up with Yahoo. I think that I will take this, and not that it wouldn't have been a close game if Debo and Zeke were playing, but again, I think we're in another bye situation on an already bad team. So a bad team with buys doesn't equal success. I'm taking myself.
Yeah, I like Zach to win this one. I think Bozier gets him in the real Sacco, but I like Zach to pull this one out.
I do as well. It's a clean sweep on the panel, but maybe we can get an upset there in that number 1 matchup, because I think Zach's team might be bad enough for Bozier to beat it. that's just my feelings there. All right, guys, thank you for joining me. It's been a fun show. I hope you have a good week out there.
Well, fellas, it's been a lot of fun being your host for the past 9 weeks. I hope you've enjoyed this show. As always, I do want to thank my guests, Jake Belwood, Travis Stouffer, and Zach Tinsley for this week's show. It's been a fun one. Looking forward to the rest of the season. See ya.
This is the Paul Watson Project.